this is going to be such a quick recap of the 13 books that I read in March because I'm running out of daylight and I really don't want to move. Also, please ignore my closet. This is not the best filming situation, but I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I just need to get this filmed. So that's what we're doing. Also, there's a lot happening here. Okay, so I read 13 books. 4 of those books were by Karen Slaughter. I don't know why I'm a little bit embarrassed by that, but I really am. I rated them all 3 stars. I did originally rate The Good Daughter, which is the first one that I read, 5 stars. But upon further review, I don't actually remember at all what that book is about. So I changed the rating and I make the rules. So I'm allowed to do that. The other ones that I read were False Witness, Girl Forgotten, and The Silent Wife. And like I said, I gave them all 3 stars. Then I read A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, which I gave 2 stars, and I was pretty sad about it. Okay, sorry, I had to move because I just got an atrocious leg cramp. I was sitting on my feet on my bed, which was clearly not the right move. So anyways, I really wanted to like A Dowry of Blood, but I didn't because it felt so. I guess I should probably tell you what A Dowry of Blood is about. That would be good. A Dowry of Blood is the story of Dracula's wife. Her name is Constanta or Constanta. I still truly do not know how to say her name. And it's the story of how she came to be his wife, which is right at the beginning. Like you don't get any of her previous life. And then their life together and the other people that that he brings into their relationship along the way. And in theory, this book sounded good because it's supposed to be about her like exacting her revenge on him. But at the end of the day, I just didn't really believe a lot of what was happening. Like, she was saying how awful he is, but you don't even really get to see him be awful until like right at the end. Otherwise, he's just kind of like, I don't know. I think I missed something. I missed some nuance that I was supposed to get, and I just really didn't get it. It just didn't hit for me like I wanted it to, like I expected it to. And I'm bummed about that. I really wanted it to hit. I was really looking forward to this book, but alas, it did not. However, the next book that I read was Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams, and this book I loved. I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. This book is about Annie, who is a florist who lives in this small town, who is friends, well, her brother is engaged to a pop star that you meet in the first book, but I didn't because I didn't read the first book. You don't have to read the first book in order to like get the story. Her brother is engaged to this pop star, and this pop star has a bodyguard, and that bodyguard agrees to teach Annie how to date because she is so awkward. So painfully awkward is our little Annie. And it's just really cute. The whole story is cute. The premise is cute. The dialogue is cute. Annie is adorable. I can't honestly remember the bodyguard boyfriend's name. It doesn't matter. It's just cute. So I highly recommend. 5 stars. It was such a fun read. I had such a good time. Highly, highly recommend. Then I read The Bromance Book Club and Undercover Bromance by Lyssa K. Adams. And I'm not gonna lie, this one, it got me. It was really cute. It was like a second chance romance for like a married couple, and this husband ends up going to his friend with the fact that his marriage is crumbling, it's falling apart, and his friend is like, I have this thing that I think you should do with me that will help. And that thing is a book club where the men in the book club read romance books, specifically like bodice ripper romance books, like historical romance books, and like use that to help them understand women more and like help their relationships. And so he does this, and it's about him and his wife like coming together again, and it's really cute. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. It got me. So then because that one got me, I went right into the next one. because I was like, love this. The next one was less good. The next one had like a weird, like true crime underplot that I don't know. It didn't hit the same. The next one was about the wife from the first book's little sister and then another guy from the book club. And they end up teaming up to try to like take down this awful restaurant owner who is unkind to women. And the sister, who is like the main character in the book, witnesses him doing this and gets fired because of it. And yeah, I don't know. It just didn't hit. It didn't hit the same. I gave it 3 stars. I did enjoy it. I didn't hate it. I think I listened to it in like a day. But yeah, it just wasn't as good as the first book. I will say that. Then I read The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, and I gave this book 4 stars and I didn't like it. So that's something. Here's the thing. The reason I didn't like this book is because it was very YA. It was just not written for me. Objectively, I could see that if I was 16, I probably would have really liked this book. And I would have been the intended audience for this book. So then I felt like I couldn't, in good conscience, give the book a bad rating because it wasn't meant for me, you know? I'm an adult. It wasn't meant for me. So that was my thought process there. I don't know if I'm going to read more Lynn Painter. I've heard good things. I also am pretty sure she has an adult novel. Oh, hi, Mouse. This is Mouse. She's something. Anyways, I don't know if I'm going to read more Lynn Painter. If she has an adult book, I probably will. But I don't know. I'm all for YA fantasy, but for some reason, like, YA romance just doesn't usually do it for me. I don't usually like it. Except for Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. That one I did really like, which was on my February reads, if you watched it. Sorry if the camera starts shaking. It's because Mouse is trying to get in the window and the camera is kind of in the window. We'll see. 4 more books. So then I read Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I gave them both 5 stars. I absolutely love them. I'm very sad that I have not gotten to read A Curse for True Love yet. It is on hold at Libby with my library, and I'm like 10th in line right now, so it's gonna be a minute, but I loved them. Speaking of YA fantasy, truly loved them. They were amazing. Highly recommend. They're better than Caraval. And I've heard people say that you don't have to read Caraval first, but I disagree. I think you don't have to read Caraval first, but I think that you should read Caraval first. It just kind of helps some things make more sense. And I thought, based on what other people were saying, that this was a prequel series. It is not. This is happening after the events of the Caraval series. So I do definitely think that it helps if you have read the Caraval series first, just to kind of understand what's going on, and it just kind of helps give some backstory to the world. I definitely think, again, that you don't have to do that. Stephanie Garber does a good job of explaining what's going on, so like it's not confusing. I just think it gives some more context. Then I finally got around to reading Uprooted by Naomi Novik. It has been on my TBR for years, and I am very excited. I'm very glad that I finally read it. Uprooted is a fairy tale fantasy. I think it's a retelling, but I don't know of what. But it's essentially about this girl who lives in this little village where they have like a lord that oversees their area, not just their village, but like this area that he is lord over. And every 10 years he takes a girl. He's an immortal wizard. Every 10 years he takes a girl from the village that's 17 to stay with him for 10 years. And at the end of the 10 years, he releases her. And all of the girls say he never touched them, that they just lived there with him. And when they leave like well off, and they end up being ruined for the village. Like they don't stay in the village, they move on to the big city and get married and yada yada. But every girl that is raised knowing that they're going to be 17 the year that they get chosen, the year of the choosing, is raised knowing that they could get taken. And I think they call him the dragon, and I think that they called it a dragonborn girl if she was born in like where she's going to be part of the girls that get chosen, and that they're just raised a little bit differently. They're taught a little bit differently, but they always have an idea of which group, like which girl is going to be taken. And in Agnieszka's year, she did not think it was going to be her. Nobody thought it was going to be her. I think there were like 7 girls, and they really thought it was going to be her best friend. And then he came and chose Agnieszka, and she just got like ripped away and taken to live with him. And it's the story of her kind of figuring that out and figuring him out and figuring out some things about herself. And it was a really, really good story. I really enjoyed it. I wish that it was a series. It's not. She's doing like a fairy tale retelling series where there's another book. So like this one was uprooted and the next one is spinning silver, but they're not related at all, I don't think. At the very least, they're not following the same characters, even if they are in the same world. I don't think they are though. But yeah, that was uprooted. I'm sad that I don't get to continue on with that series. I did really enjoy it. Slight spoiler, I did mention this in my TikTok video, but worth mentioning here. If you're like me and you would just do better knowing how the like romance ends, which I also mentioned in my TikTok video too, that this book I would not classify it as a romance book at all. It has a tiny, teeny tiny minuscule subplot of romance, but otherwise it is not a romance. So go in with that in mind. But if you are like me and you would do better knowing how the romance plays out, then just know that they do end up together at the end. There is a happily ever after at the end. It is on like the last page though, so just be prepared for that. And the very last book that I read this last month was Keeper of Enchanted Rooms by Charlie N. Holmberg. And originally gave this 2 stars. I thought on it though, and I'm changing my rating to 3 because I did really enjoy the magic in this book. I thought it was so cute. The premise is it's kind of set in like modern day 1800s. Modern day. It's kind of set in like the real world in the 1800s, but there's like undercurrents of magic where there are people who have some magic in their blood and they can perform different kinds of magic. And there's like different categories of magic. And sometimes when those people die, they inhabit inanimate objects or other people, or in this case, a house. So it's about this man who inherits this house that is either haunted or being inhabited by magic. And this woman who works for Biker, which is I can't remember what it stands for, but essentially they manage like enchanted dwellings. And so she goes to try to figure out what's going on with this house and why it's acting up and why it's locked him inside of it. And the premise is really cute. The execution was just kind of boring, honestly. I found out later that the author is LDS, and I think that that definitely comes through in her writing. Yeah, it wasn't for me, but I did really like the premise. I wish I had liked it more. That's how I always feel with books I don't like though. Like I wanted to like it. I just didn't. But yeah, those are the 13 books that I read this month. I had 3 5-star reads and 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 5-star reads and 3 4-star reads. So that was a pretty good month for me. I'm pretty happy with that. I am going to Hawaii next week, and I ordered Powerless by Lauren Roberts and also The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. So I'm going to take those books with me to read and hopefully do a little vlogging while I'm there. So hopefully you'll get to see a cute little Hawaii video. Did I say I'm going to Florida? I'm going to Hawaii. I think I said Hawaii. I don't know. I clearly have been talking too much today, so I'm going to wrap this up. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching this video. And subscribe if you haven't. I'm committing to myself that I'm going to post more often. That's as much as I can commit though, because life is busy. And I have realized that if I try to tell myself I'm going to post on YouTube once a week, that I'm just going to be disappointed in myself. So I'll see you next time.